アメリカ人は基本白人、髪の毛金髪。
Yeah.
Anna, would you like to chime in on this one?
Why do you ask me if I'm the American? This is the American in our group.
I will say that, Kevin from Kevin's English room is going against the grain.
That's like I understand how I look.
Yeah.
アメリカ人は全員太っててハンバーガーが好き。
You know what? Yes.
今日は日本人が誤解しているアメリカ人のイメージについて話してみるよ。
Let's find out!
こんにちは、全人類と友達になるところをお願いします。そして
Wrong this.
American代表 Byron です。
ちょっと待って、
Trump face.
今日のテーマは日本人が誤解しているアメリカ人のイメージについて。
Hey, don't clap. Come on, guys. This is a stereotype video. This is a stereotype video. Actually, I will say that probably some of these are true.
はい、もう日本人のアメリカ人のイメージあるじゃないですか。
What?
まあみんなも薄々感づいてると思うけど、アメリカ人のバイオンちょっと違うよね。
What you talking about? What are you talking about?
見た目的？
は見た目的。アワーフレンドバイロンの日本人のもうすごいステレオタイプなアメリカ人のイメージはちょっとね違うわけよ。
I mean, this is all the things I've collected over the almost 5 years in Japan, and meeting a lot of Japanese people had a lot of different opinions, and I thought it'd be nice to educate the public on what these are and debunk these myths once and for all. And if you ever run into an American again, you can come back to this video and see whether or not those stereotypes are true.
ちょっとお怒りのバイロンさんがもうちょっとストレス溜まってもうどうにかしてくれって今日話なんで、
Yes.
とりあえず
藤野さん。
なんで分かるの？どういうこと？今日ね、とりあえずこうハイボール用意しました。
Oh, nice.
乾杯。
Whoa.
飲みながらそのストレスいっぱい話して解放しましょう。お疲れ様です。
お疲れ様です。お疲れ。お疲れ様です。なんかおつまみあるんじゃね？
ね、おつまみ欲しくなるね。
いや、そうだよね。スポンサーがある
ボス
んじゃない？、
おつまみください。
プラスで。
はい、ドミノピザも買ってきました。
ドミノピザ。Alright.
案件ください。
Please, we're not sponsored, but they were close.
はい、
Oh, geez, what did you get? What is this?
今日はちょっと力抜いて飲みながらピザ食べながら
I don't know, adding alcohol to the mix, I might get a little angry.
まあ日本人がアメリカ人に抱いてるイメージでどれだけ間違ってでも多分合ってるものもあると思うのよ。だから間違ってるものと合ってるものどっちもねバイロン聞いていきたいと思います。
That depends.
それでは行ってみましょう。1個目、アメリカ人は誰とでもフレンドリー。
Okay. I mean, to an extent, I feel like the average sociable American who is extroverted will go out of their way to say, hello, how are you? In the Japanese perspective, you don't talk to people in the elevator.
No.
You don't talk to people at the supermarket, right? So to you and to Japanese people, that seems that we come off as friendly, right? Like, if you go to the supermarket and then I say, and I ask Anna, hey, which milk should I buy, right?
I don't know, man, but usually I get this one because it has less percentage in this one, so I recommend this. I don't know though.
Right. To you, is that friendly?
もうで知らない人なんでしょ？
Yeah.
めちゃくちゃフレンドリー。
Then I guess yes. I don't think that the average American is friendly like that. I only think that the extroverted ones are the ones who make the first move to talk. Because there are a lot of shy Americans, believe it or not. Right? That just don't like to interact with people.
普通に知らない人に街で会ったら話すってことよね。
話せる。
Yeah, you can talk to them. You just say, hey, how's it going? And then they said, good.
もうじゃあもうすぐ友達になれるってこと？
No, you're not friends.
Eh?
You're not friends when you talk. You're just being polite.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing as Japanese people bowing to each other. Like, oh, otsukaresama desu, like in the workplace. Like, our otsukaresama desu is pretty much going like, hey man, how's it going? How was your weekend?
How's it going? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
日本人がね同じアパートで住んでる人と会ったりするじゃん、エレベーターとかで。 って何も言わずにこうお辞儀したりするけど、それと同じレベルってこと？
That's
Yeah.
pretty much our ojigi.
そうなん。
Our ojigi is just saying, "Hey, did you watch the game last night? Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we really held our own there, didn't we? Yep. Hey, have a good one." That's it. But it doesn't mean you're friends.
Yeah.
It just means like, I am not your enemy. Here is my head, right? Let's talk about sports, right? Let's talk about the weather, right? But it doesn't mean I necessarily like this person. It just means that, you know, I'm just being polite. That's what it means.
それ何？そのビーイングポライトしないとやっぱいけないなっていう考えがあるの？
Yeah, if you're a total weirdo and you just don't like talking to people, then that's what I'm going to think.
Yeah.
でもやっぱりアメリカってさ、いろんな人種の人とかいろんな国の人が集まってできたじゃん。だからちゃんと自分は敵じゃありませんよで、変な人じゃありませんよって示さないといけないのかな。
Sure, I mean,
Yeah.
that's included.
Could be, yeah.
Could be. Well, but, I mean, thing is, if I get into an elevator, let's say with an international student from a different country, right? Let's say I didn't know Paul, and he got into an elevator with me, and then maybe I assumed that he didn't speak English.
Yeah.
Then I would stay quiet, because like, what if I talk and he doesn't
Or
understand
you
me?
might say, "Do you speak?"
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna go up to Paul and go like, "Hey man, did you watch the game last night?" Right? I don't know if he's gonna get it. You know, he said to me, "なんでやねん."
一個のトピックで取りすぎかもしれないけど、じゃあどうやって友達か友達じゃないかって分けるんですか？だって言ったらさ、誰とでも喋るんでしょ。日本だったら顔見て結構喋ってたら、まあなんか友達度ちょっと高いじゃん。
Well, look at how me and Aaron became friends. Right? Like, and look at the people that we interact on a daily basis inside of the bar. Right? It's like maybe if they're singing a song, "Hey man, good job," and then, you know, maybe I make a random fist bump there. Does that mean we're friends?
No.
No. That just means like, hey, you did a good job. And then Aaron and I, we started talking about more serious stuff, right? Mostly non-serious stuff. Non-serious stuff.
Mostly,
And me and Aaron realized that our humor is very alike, right? Which caused us to bond a little bit more and start to go into this debauchery of a back and forth that we have nowadays that is off camera, right?
You will never see it.
Yeah, that they will never see. But that's how we became friends, right? Yeah, you just have like this Kyotsuten that matches your personality, right? It doesn't matter if like if you're too different from somebody else, you'll be polite, but it doesn't mean that you'll go into the naka, right?
ああ、なるほどね。
I also think like in terms of like making friends, you both have to be open to make friends to begin with, right? So for example, say Byron and I met, and neither of us asked each other like meaningful questions about who you are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And say for example, I asked Byron like, "Oh, like where are you from? What was it like growing up in California or whatever?" And he was just like, "It was good." And just didn't want to engage further in the conversation. It's like, okay, clearly this guy isn't that interested in talking about this, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to engage with me in that way, so I'm just gonna leave it,
Right.
kind of thing, right? But if both people are open to make a friend and they're willing to talk on a more deeper level, I suppose that's how it gets going, kind of thing, right? But everyone is baseline relatively open, I suppose. Would you say?
Yeah, they're open for conversation, but to really get into a friendship, it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing for Japanese people, right? If you don't have like similar personalities or like even like the same goals, like there's a lot of people that I know where friendly dudes, and like I just think they're genuinely good people, but we have absolutely nothing in common, right? We have absolutely nothing in common. So like being with them is tiring because I can't find any sort of like thing that we would do together, or like maybe they're just not into the same things that I am. Right? We're just two different people, and I'd just rather not spend my time and energy hanging out with people like that who are just not my vibes. You know, I don't vibe well, right?
Yeah.
Vibe well with. You know, where do Japanese people make friends? They make friends at work. They make friends in like a random circle that they join, and even sometimes and just rarely at a bar, right? Because even for us, when we make friends at a bar, it's usually full of degenerates. People who are not very keen on being your friend, or therefore not a good friend to make.
Yeah.
I'd say I don't think that it's a great place to make friends. You get a very specific kind of person who frequent bars.
なんか日本人の感覚からしたら、なんかすごい「ヘイ!」って話しかけてきてくれて、俺僕と友達になりたいのかなって思ってても実はそうじゃない よってことだね。普通にそれはベースラインとしてすることで、
Yeah.
その先があるってこと。
That's me. Yeah, that's me ojigiing for you.
怖い。
You're
友達
no, no. That's my ojiing. Hey man, what's up, man? Hey, how you going? Yeah, yeah. You Japanese? You Japanese? Oh, cool, man. I really love this country. All right, take it easy.
Oh.
See you later, man.
LINE 交換
Oh no, I'm on a trip, so yeah, I don't know, I don't do that stuff. See you later.
I don't do that stuff.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's like
Yeah.
you're not friends, but I'm showing my ojiji.
なる
That's
ほど
it.
ね。
Yeah.
1個目はアメリカ人は誰とでもフレンドリーでした。じゃあそろそろね、温まってきたんで、コントラバーシャルなやついきたいと思います。
Which one?
次、アメリカ人は基本白人、髪の毛金髪。
Yeah.
Anna, would you like to chime in on this one?
Like we would be walking around. Why do you ask me if I'm the American? This is the American in our group.
True.
It's what happens.
How many times have you been mistook for an American? And how many times have they been disappointed that you weren't?
I did have this one interaction where some random Japanese started talking to me on the street, and he asked me like, "Oh, where are you from?" By the way, and I told him, "Oh, Romania," and his reaction was that, "American 人じゃないんだ."
いや怖い、そんなやつおらんよ。どういう
よっとあって。
何それ。
It's like アメリカ人じゃなかったんだ。It's like so in a such disappointed manner.
最悪。それはそんな多くないけどね。
I think yeah, it happened only once, but you can also see on the face like if it's not that, it's usually like アメリカ人じゃないんだ。That happens.
まあそうね、なんか海外の国際交流をあんましてない人がアナ見たら、
そうね。
アメリカ人かな思うかもしれない、それは。
In my personal experience, there's a lot of Japanese people, or even our comic section.
Yeah.
So American I've seen that before.
やばい、怒ってるわ、バイロンが。
But yeah, I meet people for the first time and they say, "Hey, what country are you from?" And they say, "Oh, I'm American." Why do you look like that? Why do you look like that then? I'm like, what do you mean? Why do I look like that? You know, like my parents
Not possible,
immigrated
sorry.
from the sea to the country where I could have a better life, and now I live there. You know, I mean, there's a big Asian community on where the West Coast, right? Because it's close. There's a lot of Asians in Vancouver, a lot of Asians in Seattle, Oregon, California, right? Why? It's right there.
Ocean's right there.
That's
Great,
right there.
great accents. Yeah.
Yeah. So those kinds of Americans do exist, right? You know, you have like Nikkei, you have like second, third generation Asian immigrants who went to the United States, right? And I'm the byproduct. I'm second generation Filipino American. That's what I am. So that's where I was born and raised. My bokugo is English, and I was raised with American values, right? So in my heart, yes, I'm American, but my face, yes, I'm Filipino. That's just different, right? I just think that we should probably be more open-minded to realize that there are immigrants who are not just white that live in the States, even though the States is predominantly like 55% white, I would say.
But it's not that big of a majority.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
そうね。この話をした時に、打ち合わせした時にちょっと調べたら、アメリカの白人って 60% もいないっていう話になって、まあ、僕が一番そうなんだ。
Yeah.
まあてかアジア人とかもヒスパニック系とかね、まあ、黒人も普通にめちゃくちゃ多いから、それをみんな知っといてほしいよってことよね。でもさ、正直バイロンとしてはやっぱり悲しい。アメリカ人のステレオタイプとかとちょっと違うじゃん。どう感じたりするの？真面目な話。
I mean, when people get it wrong, I mean, I don't blame them. Inside of the States, we also receive the same kind of discrimination. Let's say if we go to the Midwest, right? Because in the Midwest, there's not a predominantly like big Asian community, right? So they're not going to know how to treat like an Asian person because they just haven't seen someone like that before that speaks perfect English, right? Like there's even one of my friends, Filipino American, she worked at Daiso in San Francisco, born and raised. And then, she's like, "Oh, welcome to Daiso." And people would walk in and go like, "Wow, your English is so good. Are you here for a vacation?" "Actually, I was born and raised in San Francisco." "Oh my gosh, where are you from?" "Yeah, I'm from San Francisco." Yeah, so that kind of problem exists inside of the U.S. as well. But for me, personally, there's a different side to it where I get to kind of blend in, right? When I speak Japanese, right? People don't freak out as much because it's like a face that they recognize. You know, maybe I can get away with being just like maybe I don't know half or quarter or something like that. They're not gonna get shocked like seeing like a white face like, speaking Japanese. So I can get away with that, right? Like if I cover my face with my hair or something like that, and I'm wearing like a mask, right? They're gonna assume like, oh, this person is Asian, therefore maybe they know a little bit of Japanese, right? So I can get away with that, and that's what I'm happy about, right? But people are not going to like, you know, bring me around, go like, look, an Asian, like an English speaker. That hasn't happened to me.
That did happen to me.
That happened to you?
Yeah.
Happened to you?
This happens not only in Japan but also in other Asian countries. People that just wanna take pictures with you. And it's not like they recognize our YouTube or something like that. No, they just want to take a picture with you because you're gaijin.
Well, I mean, I will say, like, I think the greatest thing about countries like the United States and Canada is that anyone can become an American. Anyone can become a Canadian. Like, your race, your ethnicity isn't tied to your ability to have citizenship or have a sense of belonging, because that there's no barrier there to being a particular person, right? But Japan doesn't operate the same way, right? National identity, racial purity, ethnicity, language ability, all these things are tied up and bound up in national identity. So if you have one of those things that's missing, then it's like, well, you kind of are, but you're not fully Japanese, let's say.
Right, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
the people who are born and raised here. It's like, oh, you were born in the country, but you're not Japanese.
It's like,
right?
it's like, sure, you can speak the language and you know all the customs or anything like that, but we're gonna hold you at arm's length. We're not gonna like let you integrate.
You won't be accepted, but you'll be like, you are a foreigner.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Japan.
Yeah.
まあそういうのを変えるためにもこのチャンネルあるわけだからね。
That's true.
そう、皆さんよろしくお願いします。まあ僕も一緒に変わっていかないといけない。
I will say that, Kevin from Kevin's English room is going against the grain, making sure that Americans, Japanese Americans do exist. And, if you're a Japanese or you're Nikkei, you can still exist as an American. So thanks, Kevin. Thank you. Aaron thinks you're hot.
Oh, great jawline, yeah.
Yeah.
はい、ということでアメリカ人基本白人髪の毛金髪でした。
Okay.
次、アメリカ人は箸が使えない。
Wait, don't you have this problem too?
Me too. No, only American.
マレーシア人でもあるんだ。
あれあいつ使えるんだ。直角系なのに。
He invented the chopstick.
Right.
これはまずアメリカ人箸使えないんじゃないかと思われてて、フォークとか持ってこられるってこと。
Right, yeah. I think there's several times where I was speaking English with my friends, like when I came to visit Japan in 2017, and they heard us speak loud English, and we were given forks. A group of 5 Asian faces were given forks.
中華とか行ってもってことよね。
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, wait, what's going on? What is your image technique of American friendship group, just on average? Like a friendship group, like let's say I had a group of 5 friends, what faces would they have?
Asian.
Do you think it's more like Taiyose, or like what do you think? What is your typical image of American friendship? Like stock images?
I think we have that image of Americans in Europe more. It's like you imagine a group of Americans, one of those international university brochures, where it's like one of each race, right?
So
That's what I mean. Yeah,
Right.
and a lot of people. That's how Americans are friends, and that's how people are like mixing each other's cultural groups. And I would say, kudos to them. Kudos to those people who have actually made friends in a very, very or interracial group of friends, because those are cultures that overlap, or like they combine, and maybe everyone has a different culture and can understand each other to an extent. But in my personal experience, I've hung out with people who have the same face as mine. Why? Because it's more comfortable, right? Like everybody goes and eats Asian, if you go to like an Asian restaurant, we have this thing called family style, right? Where everybody takes a little bit and shares with everybody, right? If you go to an izakaya, you share with everybody, right? That's ingrained into our culture, right? I've been to dinner several times with people who are not of my race. They would order their own food and just eat their own food, right? And then if somebody takes their food, it's like, wait, you have to pay me money. Because like, you know, that's part of my food. Like, why do I have to share it with everybody if I have to like have my own share, right? And that's too mendokusai to explain. That's too mendokusai to explain. It's like, hey, why do we have to take off our shoes every time we go in the house? Because it's dirty. It's dirty, you know. And you have all these things that pile up, and it's too mendokusai to like tell them every single time. So you know, I am just more like acquainted to people who have kind of like niteru culture, so that, you know, it's easy to be friends, it's easy to learn about each other's cultures, and, you know, you are a minority together, right? Like, Japan is the first country where I'm Asian, but I feel like minority still. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm Asian, I'm like, we're supposed to be friends, but, you know, I feel so distant from Japanese people, right? So, that's the thing. When there's these big Asian groups, right? There's big Asian restaurants, right? And you're going to want to eat food that reminds you of home, right? And they do have forks available, but, you know, at a sushi restaurant, they have chopsticks. Or Chinese restaurants, they have chopsticks, you know? Korean restaurants, metal chopsticks, you know, same thing inside of Japan. So we have that practice, you know? We have that practice, and we have these kinds of restaurants, and then we bring that to Japan, and then Japanese people are amazed that, you know, we're using it. We're using it because we have the practice at home. Because we have the communities that helped us be Asian.
フィリピンは箸を使う文化はある。
手で。
そうだね。だからお母さんとかお父さんは箸は使わないんよね。基本は。
Right.
フィリピンではってことね。
Right. For Filipinos, we use our hands or we have like our fork and knife. But I love Japanese food. Okay, I love Japan. Like, you know, that's one of the reasons why I moved here, right? And so my family, like, they love sashimi. We go to sushi restaurants. We're gonna eat with our hands. We're gonna eat with chopsticks. We want to feel the authenticity of eating with chopsticks and dipping it in soy sauce and putting wasabi on, right?
で、バイロンはアジア系のアメリカ人コミュニティに所属してて、みんなじゃあアジア系のご飯行こうぜってなったら、中華料理、韓国料理、日本料理ってなるから、みんな箸それは使えるようになるよねってことね。
Yes, that's where we learn.
なるほどね。
Right, Aaron?
Yeah.
Right?
お母さん日本人やから使えるんだ。
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, but like personally, it's like I learned how to use chopsticks before you learn how to use like a fork and knife kind of thing, right? Because like I was born here, and then I come to Japan. It's washi jozu desu ne. It's like look. I understand how I look. You know, I look very white, right? And so every time like that happens to me, it's kind of like I'll let it slide because it's like I realize that, you know, I look a certain way, but like, you know, using hashi has been a part of me since I was a little boy, right? My best friend growing up, Eric Yang, he's, you know, Chinese Canadian, and like I'll go to his house and eat like Chinese food or like eat with chopsticks and stuff like that. So like being Asian was like a really big part of who I was growing up, like you were saying, right? And so it's weird like coming here, an Asian country, being like, you're not Asian. So yeah, it's a weird thing, eh? Like, you know, racial identity, cultural identity, personal identity, where all these things kind of converge, right? Like how do you negotiate these three things?
Right, and I will say, just as, you know, in our defense, before the ski janakatta kaire no itu no, like I know that Japanese people say that because they just want to start a conversation with you.
いや、プラスいい意味で言ってるからね。
Right, yeah,
褒めたいから。
そう、褒めたいから言ってる。
Yeah, exactly. They come from a good place. They never comes from a place of malice when they say ohashi jozu desu ne. But, you know, coming from a place where you're supposed to know that we're good at chopsticks. Kind of just like... Yeah, like Aaron's situation, I can understand fully. I can understand fully, right? Born here, chopsticks from the beginning of his life.
Yeah.
What we prefer, as in like they praise you like, oh, おはい上手ですね. Oh, そっか、日本人かっていうどっちがいい
？I will say, eat the damn sushi.
just don't say anything.
Don't say it.
I mean, like,
Don't say it.
it.
Don't say it.
Kind of, like I understand, like, look, this has happened in Canada to me too. It's like, your English is so good.
Oh God.
Where are you from? So that's the weird thing about being biracial. It's like when I'm in Canada, I look very Asian.
Right.
But when I'm
So true.
when I'm here, I look very white. And so like this one time, I was talking to some random person, and we're talking. You know, they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" Blah blah. I'm like, "Oh, I was born in Japan, but I lived here for a long time." They're like, "Oh wow, your English is really good." And I'm like, well, yeah, like, and it's okay. Look, the race thing, the biracial thing, identity thing, it's such a messy topic, right?
Very messy.
Because there's no right answer. There's no
そうね
like things that people say may be considered offensive or like insensitive or something like that. But from their perspective, it's like, well, like you're saying, like you want to praise them, I guess. But
Yeah.
まあ
but like at the same time, it's like you don't need to praise people for that kind of thing, right? It's
まあ
like,
難しい
but right, it's like I don't know, like I said, there's no right answer, and by no means am I being like, oh, 日本人悪い or whatever. Like I'm not saying that at all.
No, no.
別にアーロンももちろん昔から箸使っててあれだけど、もうハーフだから日本人からしたら分かりづらいというか、
Yeah.
あるじゃん、
Yeah.
ポールはもう 100% アジア人だ
Yeah.
もう
This guy.
もうマレーシアしかも中華系だったら絶対に箸使ってるだからポールに中国語上手ですねって言ってるのも
There's not enough people knows about Malaysia, I would say.
あ
That's why I think it's my job to educate them.
ーうわかっこいい
Understand you don't know about my country and the background of my country, so it's my job to tell you what's happening in my country and why I can use
Wow.
chopsticks.
うわやばいちょっと参考してるちょっと今うるっときたわ
So,代表Paul.
すごい
まあ全然オフェンシブはとは思わないだけど。
Right, right. It's not, yeah, it's not like a, I can't believe you'd say that kind of thing to me, but it's kind of like, you know, there are lots of different kinds of people, right?
Yeah.
So,
Let's talk about something else, you know? Like, yeah, you can praise anything. It's like, hey, I like your shirt. That's praise.
Yeah.
That's praise. That's
Yeah.
thanks.
アメリカ人は箸が使えないでしたちなみに感覚でいいけど全員のアメリカ人で何%くらい箸使えると思う
That's the thing. But I would say a very, very small part of a whole knows how to use chopsticks.
まあじゃあ間違っても
Yeah.
はい次アメリカ人は全員太っててハンバーガーが好き
You know what? Yes.
what's the stat? It's like a third of all Americans are overweight or something like that.
I think
like
so.
Like
I will say that when I went back to the States, it was definitely bigger. People were definitely bigger than what I thought. I think that the regular standard of like, oh, you're not fat is the Japanese, you're fat.
yeah.
Does that make sense? So I will say hamburgers are delicious. I love cheeseburgers. I always love a good burger, and I always try. If I could eat hamburgers every day and it wasn't bad for my cholesterol, I would. I would do that all of the time.
'Cause they're
It's
delicious.
delicious.
Amazing.
It's delicious, you know. But obviously, I don't think that we're all fat.
Well, look how many medals the United States has won in the Olympics. Like, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
True.
You know, like they have like the top level athletes in the world, right? All the best athletes come from the States. I think America is a country of extremes. Of no matter what metric it is, right? Max obesity, America's won. You know what I mean? Max athletic ability, America has won, right? Military might, America has won. You know, like America is an incredible country in the most literal sense of that word.
そうね
Basically being number one in anything regardless of whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
調べてみたら10年後にはアメリカ人の 50% が肥満になるって言われてるから
I mean, yeah. For those who are not, they're not. But for the most part, I will say
なる
yes.
ほどね
But okay, but then if you look at sheer numbers though, because how many people does the United States have? 300 million? 300 million people.
I'm gonna
So
guess
That's,
since
that's a lot of
that's a
people.
lot of Americans. So half of that, yeah, it's like 150 million Americans. That's a lot of Americans. But there's also 150 million Americans who aren't obese. So think about that.
There we go. It's all proportion, okay? It's proportion.
Is the cup half full or half?
There you go.
half
See,
empty?
I'll be a bit more optimistic.
Gym culture is more prominent inside
There you
the
go.
States, I would
はい
say.
ということでアメリカ人は全員太ってハンバーガーが好きでした
Who doesn't like a good burger, right? Come on.
次
はい
アメリカは自由の国
Oh.
自由の国
In which case,
自由の国ってイメージがやっぱあってそうそうスタチュー・オブ・リバティがあるわけだから自由の女神
From France, yeah.
Yeah.
Politically,
Oh,
in the
okay.
current
Here
status
we go.
quo, right? I feel like it is pretty Jew in the fact in the current state that the America is in right now, and it's Jew in terms of like your opinions, right?
yeah,
And,
yeah.
but I think like in a more relatable sense to Japan, like for example, let's say I go to a shoe store, right? I buy a pair of Nikes for $99. Okay, I wear them for a day. I don't like them. I come back and then I exchange the red Nikes for blue Nikes that are the same price. 返品できますか? Can I 交換? Yeah, sure.
ああ、なるほど。
Boom.
日
And I-
本厳しいね。
Yeah, and then I can't do that in Japan. Like 返品できない but it's the same price. Can't. I just bought these shoes. Can't I exchange it for those shoes? Nope. できないです。無理です。
あーだから
難しいっす。
日本は結構決まりでみんなそこに従うけど、なんかアメリカはまあ大丈夫でしょみたいなちょっと自由な感じが漂ってるってことだよね。
Right, right. That's the kind of GU that it has. Like there are these rules, but there are occasional times where you can just let it slide. But then, that ends up having like, buses are not on time or like people are not really like focused on their work, right? And it doesn't work as well as Japan does because everybody follows the rules, right? But, that's like a imen or imen about both countries.
まあでも夜さ危なくて子供とか歩けないじゃん。自由。
Yeah. When I saw kids running around for the first time in Japan, I was like, those kids are gonna get kidnapped.
Real quick.
Yeah,
そうね
real quick.
本当にアメリカはだから6時とか7時以降に子供が一人で歩くっていうかありえないし、そもそも平日昼の時間帯でも一人はやばいよね多分。
Yeah, I got grounded for walking by myself from school because I thought it was faster. But then you're like, no, it's really dangerous out there. And they took away my rokuyon for like a month. That was the worst time of my life.
まあこれはちょっとね自由か自由じゃないかはものによるということで。
Yeah.
はい、ということで今日は日本人が誤解しているアメリカ人のイメージということで話してみました。半分ちょっと間違ってたけど半分合ってたわ。大切なのはこれっていう風に決めつけるんじゃなくて、僕らも多分嫌じゃん日本人は、こうだよねこうだよねで一つでも決まりってやられたらあんまりさいい思いしないから、その人を見てバイロンはこういう人だねとアーロンはこういう人だねっていうその人ごとに付き合っていくのが、まあ本当は大切なんじゃないかなってあれなんかいい話になった思いました。
That's actually the key of making foreign friends because like I would have around university for example like なんか外国人の友達作りたいなみたいな人もいるじゃん。And like that's good to have a thought about. There's not a bad thing of having, but in order to actually make friends with someone from another culture, you should go beyond that and not want to make friends with them because they are of a certain nationality, but rather, oh, this person is interesting. I want to make friends with them first, and like nationality or international like culture exchange should come second.
他に僕らに話してほしいトピックがあればコメント欄までよろしくお願いします。それでは次の動画でまたお会いしましょう。バイバイ。チャンネル
登録
お願い
し
ます。